If you're new to Lakeview, you need to know that this has become part of our tradition to identify needs locally, globally, and here at Lakeview Church, and then to generously meet those needs. And we've broken them down into these three components. Our local project is to partner with sons and daughters in supporting foster families, including marginalized children and their families. We also partner with Hands at Work for our global project. That's providing food and shelter and education for actually 150 children. I made a mistake. Last week I said 40. It's just 40 in the village that we usually partner with, or we have partnered with over the last 10 years or so. But we've raised so much that we can actually extend that out to 110 more children in the surrounding area. And then finally, Lakeview Church. And historically, December accounts for nearly a quarter of our overall operating budget for the church. So the number that I'm going to show you in a moment isn't over and above our regular giving, but it incorporates that, and we're sharing it with you as a point of clarity. And here are the financial goals for these projects. We'd like to raise $10,000 locally for sons and daughters, $40,000 globally for Hands at Work, and $350,000 to continue the good work that we're already doing here at Lakeview. And to help understand exactly what that work is and what your generosity makes possible, we're going to share some stories with you here this morning. So Kurt, roll us in with some home church stories.
Yeah, and if you've been around Lakeview for any length of time, you've heard us talk often about home church. If you're new, you should understand it's an important part of our life as a church. And I'm going to share a few stories from my personal home church that I'm a part of, but I think this actually reflects much of what is happening across the board throughout our community. So just a couple stories. The first one, recently we've had a family that's entered into our home church, and they're kind of coming out of a bit of a challenging previous church experience, and so they're looking for somewhere new to sort of plant their flag and call home. And it's been really cool to see the way that they've settled in, not only on Sundays, finding our Sunday gatherings very refreshing and nourishing for their souls, but finding a place to connect deeply in relationship Wednesday nights in our home. And it's been really cool to see this is not only happening for the parents, but they have 3 young kids, and to see the way that they've connected with our own kids and how they've formed friendships and community. But beyond that, they've actually found themselves in a place where their kids are now being invested into by adults and other people. And there's this web of relationships that they're now finding themselves a part of. And it was really cool, especially because one of their sons in particular was just having a hard time kind of jiving with the whole church experience. But just a week ago, we were opening up for a meal and said, hey, we're gonna have a meal. Who wants to say grace? He volunteered right away and said, I would. And that really was a significant moment for the parents they shared with me. So it's just kind of a cool thing that we know is happening. Another story, we've got a young woman in our group who for the past number of years has really intentionally journeyed alongside a group of students who are largely coming from families that are new to Canada. And we've recognized this as a calling on her life. And as a home church, we have really said, we send you to do this. We believe this is what we see God doing in you. We've actually laid hands on her to say, we send you on behalf of our community. You're doing what God cares about. And so she's the one obviously in those spaces, but as a home church, we've actually been able to come around her and to support her. And it's been challenging at times, actually really challenging lately. And there's been moments where she's actually come to our group and just been honestly saying, I can't even pray right now. I'm done. I'm spent. And we've been able to say as a home church, that's okay. We are praying for you. We are praying with you. And even though it's sort of her calling, we've been able to enter in, even to the point where this coming week, we're getting together as a crew and spending our home church time, filling hampers, getting Christmas gifts for one of those families that's had a really hard time. And it's just neat to see the way that our home church has entered in, and it's become a part of our church reality. And I believe it's so close to God's heart.
Absolutely. And again, that's made possible because we've built the infrastructure here to support those kinds of connections, to make that kind of life change possible. Let me share a couple more stories with you. Allison got a phone call 2 or 3 months ago from the health region here in the city. I'm not sure how they got her name or our number, but they said, we know that you help. So we've got this family who has just arrived to Canada from Nigeria. They've got a 3-year-old daughter, and they're expecting quadruplets. Can you help? Allison came over to my office. She said, can we help? And I said, well, check it out. Follow that lead and see where it goes. 2 months later, they lost one of the babies and they had triplets. Again, they have a very energetic 3-year-old girl. And here we are stepping in as a church community to support these people. At one point in time, I went to check it out to see what was going on. And when I went to the apartment, there was a woman with her own kids who was from Lakeview Church who was there doing this mother's laundry. Just folding it, that smell of warm laundry in the house, it was that, just covering that base. Or to create a meal schedule to help the mom. The day I was there, they were actually delivering a fridge. Food from our community was being delivered to support this family. Then it came to us that, it's a lot of upkeep trying to feed triplets, and the poor mother was a bit of a milk factory. And even so, her body couldn't even keep up with all that, so they needed formula. Do you know how much formula triplets go through? Let me tell you. They go through a case of formula a day. So I went on one of these runs. We went to Walmart, and we had like 8 or 10 cases. And I'm walking from the back of the store to the cash registers, and people are looking at me. They're like, "Are you thirsty, man? Like, what is wrong with you?" And we drop that off. The mother is happy, very thankful. And somebody from our church hears of this situation, and they say this: "You know what? We're going to cover the cost of that formula for the next year. Let those parents know that that food is covered." Isn't that amazing? Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. And again, these things are made possible because we've created the infrastructure to mobilize our church to help meet needs on God's behalf. Let me tell you another story. This is one of the global ones. One of our partners, Hands at Work. Not only do they support and look after children, they're also on the lookout for caregivers, adults in particular regions that can help the most vulnerable. And I heard just a story this week of a woman named Maria. And 2 years ago, Hands went out on a fact-finding mission. They found this woman, and she's effectively living in a swamp. Her shack is set up around stagnant water. She's in a tough place herself, dealing with abandonment issues. The father of her daughter abandoned them, and then her daughter has since had a child, and the father of that child has abandoned them. They're not in a good place whatsoever. And they're approached by Hands, and they're saying, "Hey, there's a lot of kids in your area who are in a similar situation as you, abandoned in one form or another. Can you help?" 2 years later, the report that we got just this week was that this woman's life has changed. That she is now lit up, that children actually run in from everywhere to see her and greet her because they are so thankful for her. And in our terms, she has less than zero. But in that moment, in that place, God is using her to look after those kids. And she is looked after, and they are looked after because of our generosity. Your giving makes that possible. So Kurt, tell us, if people want to invest in the stories that we've been talking about, how can they do it?
Yeah, there's a few ways that you can contribute this Advent season. One is if you go to our website, lakeviewchurch.com, you'll see among the top bar that there is a give option. If you click on that give link, you'll come to our give page where you'll find a drop-down menu, and you can choose to direct your donations towards Advent this season. Additionally, you can give by texting the number 84321, and you simply enter the amount you'd like to give, followed by the word Advent to direct it that way. And of course, we have our give boxes on the way out. You can drop your offerings within those give boxes, or at the info desk on the way out in the lobby, you can give via credit or debit, check, or cash as well.
So just to summarize, our Lakeview Advent projects are as follows. We want to raise $10,000 locally for the Sons and Daughters Initiative, $40,000 globally to support Hands at Work to provide food and shelter and education for 150 children in Mulanga, Zambia, and then $350,000 to continue the good work that provides the infrastructure that allows our church to do what it does. Now, one last thing. For those of you who are in our database, you would have received an email from us earlier in this week. And I want to say a couple of things. If you didn't get that email, it's probably because of one of two reasons. You might not be in our database, so if you want to be, you can sign up at the info desk. For others of you, you have a sastel.net account, and they didn't like that we were sending so many emails out, so those got filtered out. We're going to try to send those in a better way this week. But I need you to know that the reason that we've sent those emails out was just not to make make you feel weird or guilty. I actually got 2 emails back saying, Joe, I'm sorry we didn't give more this year. That is not what we were looking for. And actually, I have no idea how much you gave in this past year. We set up these form emails based on giving tiers. Kurt knows the numbers. I keep myself out of it because it just feels better for me. I don't want to know those numbers. But the reason we send them out is to inform you, to encourage you, and to inspire you, and also recognize that different people are looking for different means of communication. Actually, I had a buddy of mine who's at Lakeview who sends me an email that I've never received before in my life. It was in November. He asked me this, "Hey, Joe, when are you going to ask me for money?" ? Signs his name. Okay? And later he said to me, he says, well, for people like me, we're finishing up our tax year here. This is year end. We want to figure out where our giving is going to go. So let me know what Lakeview is working on and how I can direct my giving. So all of that to say that, friends, we are involved in such good work. And we call you to be generous yet again, recognizing that, yes, we are a part of what God is doing here at Lakeview and locally and also in our world. So thanks for being generous, and we look forward to you continuing and playing your part. Thanks.